I don't believe in work-life balance because I don't see life and business as two competing forces, right? They're all integrated. They are all, it's a yin and a yang.
Welcome to the Elevate Media Podcast with your host, Chris Anderson. Let's get ready to learn, grow, and elevate our businesses.
Tim Ferriss said, focus on being productive instead of busy. And Nathan Morris said, it's not always that we need to do more, but rather that we need to focus on less. This is episode 116 with former competitive physique athlete turned serial entrepreneur, author, speaker, and leadership mentor, Dave Ruel. Today we're going to be talking about how to avoid burnout and being unfulfilled and weighed down by all the tasks and things we have to do in our everyday lives, become more efficient, get more done, and be more productive using Dave's ethics system and frameworks. So if you're overwhelmed, if you have a lot going on and you're trying to just become more productive and efficient, this episode is for you. And if you like anything you hear, make sure you share it on Instagram and tag @PencilLeadership and subscribe to the show so you don't miss future episodes. What kind of, when you say you used to be a competitive physique athlete, is that like Mr. Universe type stuff, bodybuilding, or what is that? What is actually
bodybuilding? Yes,
okay.
Absolutely. Bodybuilding. It was nowhere near Mr. Universe level.
Okay.
Obviously, I was never a professional bodybuilder, but I did compete as a bodybuilder for many years, and that was kind of my first introduction to, I would say, like high level performance. I was always kind of involved in sports. I played hockey, basketball, volleyball, you name it, always at a local/regional level. But the level of commitment that you need, or the discipline that you need in bodybuilding or fitness in general, when you want to compete is that was my first time really like at that level. And it opened my eyes to a lot of things that you have to do in order to be successful, and also looking at it long term. You don't want to just do it for a year and then you're done. You want to do it. You want to perform at the right time, but you also want to have a more sustainable, approach to it, right? So, there were valuable lessons from the world of sports performance, and then I brought to entrepreneurship. And I think going through, or having been exposed to that early on a personal level, really helped me, I would say, perform better or realize things a lot maybe sooner than other entrepreneurs would in entrepreneurship. And yeah, it's I'm still trained up to this day. Now my focus is more, based on longevity, being there for my kids for the long term, not necessarily having the biggest amount of muscles possible. But I think it's like anything, same thing with entrepreneurship. You start with one thing in mind, you start with one big dream, vision, and things evolve, things change, and your vision or your perspective changes over time, and you evolve accordingly. So there's so many parallels.
Yeah, it's a great point too, just how things change. And it's funny, not funny, I guess, but I see a lot of individuals who are successful or who are on their way to be successful or are just doing really great things. And from my perspective, a majority of them have been an athlete or some sort of competitive nature, or still are. And I think that just kind of, again, goes to your parallels you're talking about. I mean, I'm not anything spectacular, but I do marathons, and I've done triathlons, and
you're not the real Captain America?
Not yet. We're working that way.
Come on. Oh, damn.
No, not blonde haired, blue eyes.
That was okay. Well, sorry.
That is real, though.
Chris.
That's real. No, it's plastic, but I'll be upfront. It's plastic, but yeah, I think there's a lot of correlations to that. I think just the competitive spirit. I think just the discipline that it takes to be an entrepreneur and an athlete competitively at all at any level. I think just have so many good correlations. But even with that, I think athletes tend or have the ability to get burnt out and get overworked and, run down just like entrepreneurs do. So again, that correlation is there. So that's what led you, right, to start Ethic and start this Done by Noon movement.
Yeah, first of all, it was always about, when I launched businesses, I saw how I was operating myself as an entrepreneur. And I never really went in business saying, oh, I'm an entrepreneur and this is who I am. It was a gradual thing. I started because I had a solution to, a problem, and I made a product out of it, started selling it and did well. And then, things followed. But I never, I would say, saw myself as an entrepreneur. The thing that I knew how to do from, my personal life or my athletic career, I brought it to entrepreneurship, made a business out of it too. But I never, how can I say that? I never, made the conscious decision of being an entrepreneur. And it's until I actually, started, like, the business was running, I had great results, and I saw the way I was managing myself. Like, why do I manage myself like poorly like that, in my business, when I'm capable of doing great things when it comes to discipline, when it comes to consistency on the personal level and on the physique side. And I started doing, like, this is when, it's only sometimes when you're at one point and you turn back and you see the dots connecting. And it's like, wow, okay, I'm burnt out right now, but I see the dots and I understand what I'm doing wrong. And when you look at, I'm going to use, weight training, for example, weightlifting as an analogy. People think a lot of the biggest rookie mistake you see people doing is that they're going to start going to the gym, and then they're going to start working out 7 days a week, long hours all the time, as much as they can. What happens? First of all, they're not seeing, they get frustrated because they don't see the results that they want, right? And they're like, well, I'm doing all this work. I'm not growing as much as I want. It doesn't make sense. And then they realize that they're actually overtraining and they're burning themselves out. And it just affects everything else.
Yeah, right. Because, sorry to jump in there, but basically their muscles can't recover, right? They're breaking down the tissue so much, they're actually almost reversing what they want to happen. Isn't that correct?
Well, and then they realize that they need structure. They realize that, damn, like, I'm working out. And when a lot of people start working out without any, like, proper planning or proper, game plan, and they do, like, oh, I'm going to do a little bit biceps, some bicep curls, and I'm going to do some bench press. I'm going to do that. And then they realize, okay, I need structure. And then with structure, then they realize, okay, I have something, I have a framework that I can put in place that now I can, focus on the things that really matter based on my goals, right? So when you look at it, you see, like, when I was coaching people on the physique side, the main question is, like, what's your goal? What do you want to do, right? So they always either, like, lose weight, gain muscle, do this, do that, become more flexible. I mean, you name it. And I was working with a lot of, muscle people. And it's like, oh, I want to gain 20 pounds of muscle. I want to gain 10 pounds of muscle. And usually it was like 10 pounds of muscle. And then I want to have, like, less of that body fat right there, So, like, okay, why do you want to do that? Well, because it was either, like, they want to feel more confident in their skin. They wanted to live longer. They wanted to, some wanted to compete in bodybuilding. I mean, there's all different reasons. There's official and unofficial reasons too. But that's why you need to figure out. And, once that's decided, once you understand, okay, well, that's the goal. Now we're going to reverse engineer this goal or this direction. And now we're going to do the right actions in order to get you there. You're not going to get there tomorrow. It's going to take time. It's going to take repeated actions, some routines that are going to be put in place, some habits that are going to need to be implemented in your life, and some movements, some things, some actions that will need to take place. And so you're going to start with usually like a 90-day plan, 90-day workout, and then you're going to be, scale. I'm going to tell you, okay, Chris, on Monday you're going to do chest. Yeah, because International Chest Day is Monday. Yeah. No, so Monday you're going to do chest, and then you're going to do this exercise, and you're going to do that many reps, and you're going to do, in a movement that's like this, and then you're going to perform that movement, and then you're going to recover. So there's all that planning that goes into it. And when I started coaching entrepreneurs, that was, I started, like, little by little in 2014, 2016, when I sold Bioptimizers, my last company, my supplements company. I started coaching entrepreneurs, and that was like kind of a new thing. Like it was not something that I wanted to do, like get into coaching. It was like, you know what, I had kind of that opportunity presented to me, and I realized that most entrepreneurs do the same thing. They start in business and they do a little bit of everything, and they don't know what they're doing, and then they come to a coach or someone who's been there and say, like, what do I need to do? So this is when I had built for myself like the same type of tools, and systems that I was using for myself. And I started sharing these tools with them. And obviously this is how Ethic was born, and the methodology was born as a whole. It's like, okay, well, how do I take an entrepreneur that has great potential, has a solution to offer, but doesn't know how to go about it, doesn't have the structure, to perform. And my goal is like, entrepreneurship is a great vehicle, business is a great vehicle to, do great things in the world. And I think like if entrepreneurs can understand how to perform sustainably, this is how I can fulfill, a bigger mission. And I think this is when Ethic, was born and started, talking about it and wrote the book about it. And, obviously I keep sharing that, but yeah, it's a little bit like how it was born, but how, the big mistake that all of us do, whether it's like what that you see in the physique space, you see that all the way in entrepreneurship.
And it's almost, honestly, like just from what I've heard starting on my journey with entrepreneurship, it's almost like it's blasphemy, done by noon. Like, no, like you've got to work, 20-hour days and every day doing that. And yes, I mean, there are some days that we do have to spend longer just based on things coming up, and things like that. But you're going against, really, I think you're going against the grain. You're kind of going against the flow, of everything else, with being done by noon. And it just almost, to so many people, sounds like a pipe dream, kind of like done by noon. Okay, sure. Maybe if you're successful and at a good level, but you think anyone can use this process at any level they're at to still be successful, right?
You love listening to podcasts, but have you ever thought about starting your own podcast? Maybe you want to build a brand, grow your business, or are looking for an excuse to talk about your favorite hobby. Whatever your reason for making a podcast, Buzzsprout is the place to start. Since 2009, Buzzsprout has helped over 300,000 people launch their own podcasts. Buzzsprout walks you step by step through the whole process and will give you powerful tools to start, grow, and monetize your podcast. Ready to get started? Click the link in the show notes to get our free step-by-step guide to starting your podcast today.
Well, the title is very strategic, because the title appeals or is it's really gonna make you realize what you don't have. And I believe entrepreneurs go in business for one thing, and that one, like primarily one thing, and that thing is freedom. And freedom, I divide freedom into 3 freedoms. So first of all, freedom of time, right? They want to do things when they want. Freedom of creation, creative freedom. They want to work on things that they want, right? They don't want to be told what to do or when to do it. But they also want financial freedom. Obviously, they want to get paid with it, and they want to be well paid doing it, and it's normal. The thing is that when we start, our businesses, and the reality catches in, and you don't have that structure like I was talking about, it makes you realize, like you drift from the initial intent, and then all of a sudden that goal or that driver of freedom, if you want, is not there anymore. And when I say done by noon, it's not to be just done by noon. And when you read the book, like you can be done whenever you want. It doesn't matter. It's based on where you want to go, on your ambitions, on your business. There's so many variables and context to account for. But the fact that I would tell you, what if you had to be done by noon every day, had no choice, how would you structure your days? How would you structure your work? So now you understand that it's not about working more, it's about working on the right things, right? And obviously, like, that's an analogy to show you, to force you to look at how to prioritize understanding what is the right work to do based on what you want, and get you out of that drift that actually prevents you not only from being fulfilled, by your work, but also creating your best work. I believe that with the right structure and the right organization, and bringing back entrepreneurs to their zone of what I call the power zone, like, will create greater solutions for the world, will create more fulfillment for you. Because I believe entrepreneurs, that's the one thing with entrepreneurs, you can be a business owner, that doesn't mean you are an entrepreneur. And I see like a difference with that. And an entrepreneur is really driven by its creative freedom. If you rob the entrepreneurs from its creative freedom, the entrepreneur is not going to thrive. He's not going to be fulfilled. He's not going to sense that he has some, purpose. He's going to feel like he's doing the things over and over again, but not going to have that drive. You know what I mean? And some people are really good in business, but don't have that entrepreneurial, mindset. I would say they have entrepreneurial tendencies, but not necessarily like that creative juice. You know what I mean? And same thing. I mean, some entrepreneurs are very, very creative, but not necessarily like the best business people either, right? So there's kind of that mix, and that's why you hear, like, for example, you read books like Rocket Fuel, for example, that talks about visionary and integrator and the combo that can happen. That's really, like, I think the difference between entrepreneurship and business owner. I think I drifted.
No, it's good. It's good information. But so that kind of draws me into that. So what structure? What do we need to put in place as entrepreneurs to have a good structure? Because if we really look at our schedule, or at the end of the day, we look back at what we did, we're going to see how much time we actually kind of wasted or weren't productive in. So how can we mitigate that amount of time to really push forward and grow and get to those places we want to be with the results? So what's that structure look like? I know you have you kind of have your own way to do it. So I'm curious to dive into that.
Yeah. Well, the first thing, again, that we do, the first question that I get you, the first questions that I get you to answer are, based on your big picture. What do you want to see become a reality? Why are you doing what you're doing? Okay. What's your goal? What's your vision? Where do you see yourself in the future? And from there, once that's established, now we can do what we call an annual guideline, like, meaning, okay, what are the things you want to see become a reality within the next 12 months? Okay. So now we're going to do a list of 5 goals, really, that you're going to be looking for the next 12 months. These 5 goals, these 5 objectives are always need to be in line, with your big picture, with what you ultimately want. If you're telling me, like, I want to work, I want to live in Hawaii, and I want to have this and I want to have that, and right now you're doing everything that's opposed to it, and you live in, I don't know, New York City, and like you're making the plans to kind of stay, you know what I mean? I think a lot of entrepreneurs are just like, they make dreams that they don't really own. They're like, oh, I'm saying that because that's what I'm supposed to do. It's like, no, like, your ambitions are your own. You do what you want to do. And from there, you're going to start doing, it's like working out. It's like understanding, you're going to realize your own, you're going to build your own self-awareness, your own self-leadership, your own self-discipline, understanding your DNA too. When I started working out, the first month, I was like, well, if I work hard enough, I can be Mr. Universe, And then you work and you realize, like, no, I don't have the genetics to be Mr. Universe. It will never happen. You know what I mean? Is that part of self-awareness that makes you understand that, okay, if I'm doing this, where do I want to go based on what I know and where I can see the next results? So, by me competing into, on the local stage, for example, and then going further. So understanding that is key. I think if you don't do this, you're going to go you're going to go and try to find shortcuts. You're going to try to find hacks. You see that all the time in fitness. A lot of people are going to start going to the gym. What are they going to do? They're going to take all the supplements that they can find, right? They're going to take all the pills thinking that that's the magic answer. If I take more of this and this and that, it's going to fix, where it's going to fix everything. It's not. And it's not going to accelerate your results, right? So before looking at optimization, look into your overall, structure. So vision. From there, we get you to be very realistic, not realistic, but understanding, very aware of where do you allocate your time, your energy, and your attention, right? Your finite resources that we all have as human beings, as entrepreneurs. It's how to manage properly our time, our energy, and our attention. So we're going to do an audit of looking at, okay, where is your time going? And understanding that you have 4 types of tasks in entrepreneurship that you're always going to face. Every single business owner is going to face these 4 types of tasks. And how you address these tasks, how much time, energy, and attention you put on these 4 tasks, and the right mix, that's going to dictate your week. So we teach you to do that. So obviously we have what we call the rocks, so which are projects related, innovation, growth related tasks. The routine tasks, which are, recurring tasks that are mandatory for the operational well-being of your company. So these are what we call the power moves, because these are the ones that are going to move the needle the most in your business. From there, you have what we call the drifters that you're still going to have, but if you spend too much time, energy, and attention on these tasks on a daily or weekly level, you will drift, meaning like you will stop, that alignment that I talked about, you will start drifting away. And those are what we call the reactive tasks. So the tasks that are kind of the byproducts of your business operations, those that you didn't anticipate, and that you tend as an entrepreneur to prioritize or put a little bit too much importance on, and then they stack up. And then what it does is that it prevents you from working on your power moves. And this is when you see actually a lot of lack of growth and lack of satisfaction, a lot of dissatisfaction coming from, within your business, because you don't work on what you should be working on your true, within your true power zone. And the other ones too, and I think now it's even more so, for the past 2 years, are what we call the responsive tasks. So everything that has to do with communication. Now, we're in a world that connects online, that talks, that has access to DMs, to Zoom meetings, etc. There's new phenomenons now, like in burnout environment, like Zoom burnout is a real thing now. And it comes from poor actually management of the structure. I think they're great tools, but you have to learn how to use them properly. And that's why we show you, right? So the 4 types of tasks, and then we get you, once that's established, we show you how actually to manage that workload. So understanding how much you can carry and how much you can, how much workload you can carry sustainably, while you grow. It's like you and I would go to the gym, Chris, and that's your first workout. And I'm going to put, 225 pounds on the bench, and maybe you can lift it because it might be genetically strong, but most people, they will not be able to lift the bar, right? So you're going to have to find a manageable workload that you can, do great work with, but then will work that muscle so you can start lifting a little bit more gradually and understand. And after a while, you're going to realize that, okay, well, that's kind of my sweet spot, or I can push, here's my range, you know what I mean, that I can play with. So we do that. We show you that on the work side, how to set up proper load management. In the book, in the Done by Noon book, we use actually the Kawhi Leonard analogy. I don't know if you read it that far, but we use that to show the sports performance analogy of load management, and also how you're going to be structuring that within your schedule, right? So it's understanding that, okay, now that you have understood that, let's see how that can play within, your schedule. It doesn't need to be done by noon. The done by noon exercise is to make you understand what you should be putting your priorities on. And it's also going to put a constraint of time on, each block of time, right? So for example, if I tell you that you cannot have, you can't have your emails open all the time and work on within your inbox all the time, and you have only let's say 30 minutes to an hour every day to attend to your daily communications, well, you're going to find a better structure, but you're also going to start optimizing the way you do things. You're going to install, you're going to put a system for your emails, system for your communications, system for to-do lists, things like that. And that needs to be put in gradually. We supplement gradually so you can have the best benefits from it.
And that's a great point. I think, Because if you don't structure your time well, one, you lose your time and you get down. I mean, doing too much, spending too much time on things that don't matter, like you mentioned, on those drifters, those reactive type things. And so I think it's what, like, and I've heard it and I wonder how this fits in your philosophy with it, but like, don't like look at your email or your phone first thing in the morning kind of thing, because it starts to kind of drag you down that into those drifting type actions.
Yeah, it all comes down to, your own behaviors. You can look at it first thing in the morning, the things that are you going to take action on it first thing in the morning, right? I'm not opposed to you to look at your phone and see emails. The problem is that the behavior that's going to follow will dictate, how good you're going to be as an entrepreneur. It's like, there's not, you can look at a chocolate bar, while you're dieting, you can look at it, first thing. But if you start eating it, and it opens the door to actually more chocolate and, less results. It's the same thing with emails, right? You can open your inbox, but if you start working on it thinking that that's important and urgent right now, while I'm telling you, like it's not going to work for you. Like you're not going to be able to sustainably prioritize the right thing. So instead, if you have the discipline to look at your emails first thing in the morning and understanding where to put them, so at the right time you can attend to these emails, understanding that, not everything is urgent and important. In the book, we talk about the Eisenhower matrix, which is a tool that's used widely in entrepreneurship. And I'm like, yeah, I can see why, like it's a useful tool in when you're under fire, because,
what can you go into what that is for those who don't know?
Yeah, so it's the Eisenhower matrix that was created by Eisenhower, which was president, and then he was an army general, and he basically he divides the task by importance and urgency. And it's like, okay, well, there's, you do right now, you schedule them, you delete, or you don't attend the task, or, or you delegate it. But okay, it makes sense. However, for most entrepreneurs, that top left corner, the urgent and important part of the quadrant, this is where most tasks fall, because most entrepreneurs don't have they don't understand what truly is urgent and important. And we're going to associate importance with communication. So for example, an email, we're going to expect that you should answer as fast as possible to this email, right? Do you really, right? Is it really an urgent or important thing, or are you just opening another can of worms, right? And one of the first things that we do in order to patch, that leak with entrepreneurs is that we have a system called the inbox freedom system, and we get entrepreneurs to set that up, in their install the system into their inbox. And obviously, every day they're going to have to, get the system, improve it. And after a while, they're going to realize that, damn, first of all, I'm down 70% on my email load, but also this, it doesn't smell like burning anymore. There's no more fires. It feels like we're in control of the workload. And the reality is that what you perceive as an emergency or something that's urgent is not. And there's pretty flagrant ways, to see it. For example, one thing in the inbox freedom system, one of the things we get you to implement is an autoresponder in your inbox. So you put an autoresponder, and if you send me an email, I don't know if you sent me an email, Chris, but you get the autoresponder saying, hey, I only reply to emails between this time and this time every day. If you're emailing me for this, here's the person you need to contact. So I obviously send to the right person. So sometimes it doesn't need to be me. If it's an extreme emergency, here is my cell phone number. So I give you my cell phone number on my email, on my autoresponder. Guess how many email calls I get?
Probably very few, if any.
Yeah, none.
Yeah.
Zero. And that's a reality. We now know how to channel urgencies and emergency. There are some emergencies, that happen. It happened before, I don't know, server crashes or where you're losing money right now, it needs to be fixed. You don't know, like, I mean, there's obviously emergencies, but they're not that, like, it's very rare that it happens. You know what I mean? And we have systems in place so we don't have to deal with all that or be like, what do we do? Like, we're prepared.
Yeah. Okay. And I think that's a crucial part to remember, is like being able to understand the prioritization of the tasks that we need to get done. And almost kind of using this, not really reverse engineering kind of in a way of the main things, the growth related task, and then breaking those down into each level. Okay, what do I need to do? What needs to be done, but maybe not right away. And then what is going to just distract me. And so I think the system is, I'm trying to get better at it. I'm trying to actually implement your ethics system more through the planner that you sent me, because I like how it's set up and it makes sense to me to focus on just the things that are most important and that are really going to move the needle forward, and not really focus as much attention on trivial things. And for me, even like that email thing kind of stuck out to me, because when I was first starting, I was like, I have to answer every DM and message and email right then. Like if it pops up, oh, I got to do it right now. It's like, no, like people they're not going to think one way or the other if it takes you a couple hours or a day to respond. I mean, they understand it's life. And if they do get in a upset because you don't respond right away, then maybe it's not the best to do business with anyways.
No, like 100%. And you set the expectations, you're like, hey, it's very clear. It's very clear when you answer that, and the thing is that understanding that you have a time limit as well, meaning that, let's say you have 30 minutes every day, you have 30 minutes every day, and then it's done. So it's going to make you like, you're going to need, if you can't make it happen and you still spend 2 hours a day on emails, well, you're going to need to improve your system. You're going to need to start optimizing. So, yes, the inbox freedom is one thing, but then, it might come to the way you communicate with your team, for example. There could be a better way to eliminate emails. I love emails. I think email is great, but email used in the right context. If you use email, like, for example, as a project management communication center, it's not going to work. You need a proper place to do that. There's tons of great tools now that will pay for themselves, because you're going to save so much time, and clarity, and gain so much more clarity, that the investment that you're making right now is going to pay itself tenfold fast. So it's understanding how you can get a better structure overall. And again, it doesn't happen overnight. It's not a hack. It's a structure. It's a way of operating. It's almost a lifestyle. It's a sport. I would say entrepreneurship is a sport. There's things that needs to be done. If you want to be, I don't know, what's your sport, Chris?
I grew up doing soccer, and then I did long distance running. So
there you go. Well, long distance running, you're not going to become a long distance runner overnight. When you first started, you probably you started running 1K, 2K, and gradually increased. And from there, you started looking at your nutrition. You started looking at your sleep, at your energy. And from there, like, oh, maybe I need this type of supplements. Oh, maybe I need these type of shoes, because I realized that if I use these shoes, I'm not, my feet hurt a little bit more. So now these shoes are more appropriate with that. You keep optimizing. And with time too, you realize that you might react differently to, running. It's like, oh, now my right knee is hurting a little bit when I do hills. Well, you're going to start looking into it and improve that, and maybe do other exercises that will help you compensate for that injury. So it's you have to look at it this way, and it doesn't happen by just doing quick, rash decisions on the fly, thinking that I'm going to become an athlete doing so.
Yeah, absolutely. And again, you can correlate running or things like that to it, because like when you're running and you get out there, like you have to find your pace. And once you get that pace and you hit that flow, you can go a lot farther, paired with a correct mindset. You can go a lot farther in a better time than if you like try to push the pace too much and have to walk because you're cramping and you're vomiting on the side. And so find your pace, stick with it, and you can go the distance in a better time. So it's just like business. You got to find your pace, what you can do, because we all have to juggle life, relationships, business, and everything that goes in with that. And so you've got to have a healthy relationship with them all. They all have to be, I don't know if there's necessarily a balance. I think it just has to be a healthy integration of them all together.
Yeah, that's what it is. And in the book, I talk about the work-life harmony. I don't believe in work-life balance, because I don't see life and business as two competing forces, right? They're all integrated. They are all, it's a yin and a yang. And as an entrepreneur, it's not true that, there's a clear cut, 100% clear cut between you and your business. When you look at yin and the yang, it's like a dance. Sometimes you will take the lead. Sometimes it's your business who's going to take the lead, but it's how well you do that over time that creates that beautiful flow and a beautiful dance, and it's how well you manage that. When you see a couple dancing, they're not dancing like they don't, like, they're with each other, and it's like, I'm talking like professional, like, dancing, but it's how well they do that, and that's what makes it beautiful. If they're like completely doing things separately on their side and doing their own things, that's absolutely weird, right? So it's understanding that it needs to be integrated. It is not easy. That's the thing. It needs, obviously you need to practice. You need to understand. You will screw up. Like, there's sometimes you're going to do too much, and your wife's going to be like, you're just working a little bit too much right now. Like, we want you to be, and it's normal. I think, it's part of understanding yourself as an entrepreneur. We all have different behaviors. We're most of us are prone to more, I would say, excessive type of behaviors, and that's normal. Like, that's how entrepreneurs operate. The key is understanding that, and understanding how your natural tendencies, entrepreneurial natural tendencies, and also your own modus operandi, where how do you deal with stuff? How do you deal with workload? How do you best perform? And understanding your DNA too. I feel like one of the big problems that we have right now is that is called ambition appropriation. Is that you're going to look at someone and say, I want to be like that. I want to be him. Why? Well, because it has this, that. Okay, great. But is it really what you want? And I feel now we're exposed to a lot of it. We're exposed through social media. And again, I'm not against social media or anything like that. It's quite the opposite, but we're exposed to the best of people. And we think that because these guys who are like the entrepreneurial champions that we see there, we don't see the backstory. I've been in this game long enough that I know a lot of high-level entrepreneurs. And, there's personal friends, and I know their personal struggles. On public life, they're going to look like they have their shit together, that they're absolutely crushing it. The reality is, in the back, they're still, they're struggling with different things. It could be addiction. It could be anxiety. It could be depression. It could be, you don't know, ADHD. You don't know, right? So it's understanding what you want and why do you want that, and then make actions according to how you see it right now from your own perspective. But again, as I said, your perspective will change with time. If you have kids, your perspective will change. Things happen in your life, your perspective will change. With age, your perspective changes. Like it is a truth. It will happen. It's how you will react to it. But as long as you are always aligned and always honest with what you want, and that doesn't mean that what you're doing right now will be absolutely perfect. But if you align the frequency of alignment, don't wait. The frequency of alignment is what's important. Don't wait until you're lost in the woods, you've drifted too far away to be like, shoot, what do I do now? Like, reassess your alignment regularly, ask yourselves the right question, and be honest with yourself. It happened to all of us. And, for myself, like, I could have told you something 10 years ago, like, this is where I want to be, this is what I want to do. And now, today, I see the world from another perspective. There's new things that actually light me up, and that I didn't know kind of existed, or that was not integrated 10 years ago. And you have to be, open to it, right? So it's not holding on to past selves or other people's, dreams and ambitions. It's be very, very honest with yourself.
Yeah. And I think that's a very good message to send. Just, be honest with yourself and just know what you want. And be content with what you have now and work towards where you want to get to still. And so it's again, that integration of, hey, like I'm grateful for where I am, but like, I want to continue to improve and be able to do more and help more and things like that.
I love it, 100%. And, it's like when I remember growing up, and a lot of people growing up, like, and being involved with fitness, they look at Arnold Schwarzenegger and they're like, they love the early version of Arnold. They're like, I want to be like this. And then you start doing, and you realize that, oh, he has a 1 in a million type of DNA, and probably I'm never going to have arms like that or be like this. And he's made like, so it's understanding that, but there's two ways to go about it. I could dwell, and I could be like, oh, like, why did I win the genetic lottery? I say, like, this is what I have to play with. These are my hand. This is the hand that's been handed to me. How can I do the best with that? How can I set, I would say, goals that are big enough that they will be hard as hell to accomplish. So that's part of your big vision, but also not completely unrealistic. It's like, I know I'm never going to be like the next Arnold Schwarzenegger ever, and I think that's what a lot of people, it's the same. And in entrepreneurship, you see a lot of people, idolating guys like Elon Musk and Gary Vee, etc. And I'm a big fan of these people. However, I'm never going to be the next Elon Musk. I'm never going to be the next Gary Vee. I'm a huge fan of Gary Vee, for example. And I think he's been misunderstood for a lot of things. But if you listen carefully to what he says, him and I have the same message. We're like, be 100% aligned with what you truly want. What makes you happy? What do you do well? Double down on that unapologetically. Like, do you know what I mean? And it's not about the hustle. I think people understand. It's funny because Gary changed the word. It doesn't use the word hustle anymore because it has a negative connotation with it. Use the word work ethic. And work ethic, when you think about a work ethic, you think about discipline. You think about consistency. And I think that's a better choice of word than hustle, because we talk about, the efficient approach or efficient philosophy to work in the book. And it's either you work hard or you work smart. And I think that's stupid, because working hard, if you're a long distance runner, it's not a walk in the park. It's fucking hard. Everything that you're going to be doing, like if you want to perform, it's going to be hard. It's given. Building a business is hard. It's a given. It's not easy. It's like, yeah, but I'm working smart. Okay, cool. You're working smart. That's great. But like, it doesn't take away the fact that it's going to be hard. Obviously, it's not smart to not work smart. You're always going to have to find a way to, improve and optimize and be better. And obviously, don't waste your time, your energy, and attention. But a lot of people, they think that by working smart means like collecting a bunch of hacks and patches, and that's not working.
It's funny. I had a conversation with a guy the other day about this, and he said that, or it was a question that was asked about, do you think life is hard, or do you think life should be hard, or something like that? And I was like, yeah, there are things in life that are hard. It's not supposed to be easy. It's not supposed to be simple, but it'll be worth it once you find what you were created and kind of your path. But a guy on there was like, no, it shouldn't be hard. Like, it should be easy and simple. I'm like,
that's bullshit.
I was like, yeah, I was like, I don't know if you've ever run like a marathon or tried to get stronger, but like that crap is hard. Like, it hurts. It sucks. Like, there are hard things in life. Those challenges are hard, but that's the way we improve and we get better. And so it was a good civil conversation. Two opinions. It was really cool to have it, but like, yeah, stuff is stinking hard sometimes. And we're so used to, and I just, again, this morning talked to someone, and we get handed so much in the world today for doing nothing. And it's made people think that things shouldn't have to be hard. And it's trending a lot of people in the wrong direction because of it.
There's no such thing as a free lunch. You have to, I think working hard is a given. That doesn't mean you need to glorify the hustle. You know, you need to don't like. I mean,
I think hustle makes it seem like when I think of hustle, I think of like an unhealthy work ethic, whereas hard work is just hard work. Like you're doing it and you're doing it in a way that's improving. But I think almost the unhealthy connotation is what I think takes people the wrong way with it.
well, you know, it's like, okay, I'm a huge hockey fan. And that's an example from last week that, you know, I saw and kind of rung a bell. You look at a guy like, I don't know if you know hockey, Chris, but so Andrew Shaw, who's forward, well, not retired, but forward for the Chicago Blackhawks, played for the Montreal Canadiens, my team right there. Played for many years for the Canadiens. He retired last week because he had, through his career, like just too many concussions. So he just couldn't like play at a high level anymore. He had to give up the sport that he loved the most, the thing that he loved the most, because Andrew Shaw was always the guy that you would say, he's a warrior, he's a true warrior. Like he's going to give it all out, like give it all on the ice. He's going to throw his body. He's going to sacrifice himself, right? And that was what his thing. And he was just going at it like crazy. And he was getting concussed every single year. Well, now he's 28 years old, he's retired, and you know, he's not able to play the sport that he wants. He's not able to, you know, play for the fans anymore too. Like I want to see Andrew Shaw play. I can't anymore. I love the guy. I love that player. But I wished that we hadn't been like, the guy's a freaking, like he's a hero, he's a warrior. It's like, well, dude, like if you want to do it for a long time, like there's things that need to be assessed. You can still play hard, but you have to understand that, you know, I don't want you to be full of scars, open wounds all the time on the ice. It doesn't, like, you know, that's not the case. That's not how you're going to be performing for the long term. And I think that's like the rhetoric that is being, you know, that we have around sacrifice and all that. Like, I don't believe like you should like have like so many scars that you can you stop playing. You know, that's just, it defeats the purpose. If you're an entrepreneur and you keep burning out and you keep, you know, you keep burning out and you're not going to perform for the long term. It defeats the purpose of the gift that you have to offer to other people, right? So that's
a great point. Like it's a long game, and you've got to use your strengths and how you're created to do that for the long term, because you can make such a bigger impact. Which I think is actually a great segue, I guess, into the question I asked all my guests kind of as we kind of wound things down here is, the fifth trait of pencil leadership is that we are all created uniquely and with the purpose to leave a positive mark on the world. And so when everything is said and done for you, Dave, what do you hope your positive mark is?
You know what? Right now, I would say that I help entrepreneurs perform at their best sustainably, so they could create their best work and impact as many people as possible. With Ethic, this is really like the main mission. My main driver is that if I can help, you know, real good entrepreneurs do better things, I think, and create their best work and impact people in a positive way without having me to do it myself, you know what I mean, can be done at scale. I think it's going to be mission accomplished, my friends. I got much more, you know, things like that. I'm doing community-based here and building other things. But with Ethic, I would say this is what I want people to.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
That's awesome. Well, Dave, I really appreciate you being on today, sharing this. It's just been a really good conversation. And I hope it's eye-opening for all the people listening out there. Just really take hold of and prioritize your time and the actions, because it doesn't matter how much time you have to build something, 4 hours, 1 hour, if you prioritize that right, you're going to see gains and results. And so I don't want to leave without helping you out and mentioning this. Done by Noon is Dave's book. It's a really good read. It's a really, it got you think this was a good interview, a good talk with Dave, you got to check that out and all that he gives within that, as well as his ethic planner, just helping you break down your daily tasks that need to happen to get those big goals. So, Dave, where can people connect with you? I'm sure the book's on Amazon. Is that the best place for that? Just share how people can get connected that way.
Yeah, we're handing free copies right now. So you still got time to grab some free copies. If you go to donebonoonbook.com, obviously you pay for shipping and handling, but we hand over the book. And yeah, if you like what we said here, read the book, obviously, and don't invest yet into things you're not going to use. Like, understand what we're doing, and then you're going to see, like, the ethic planner is really like the condense everything you're going to read in the book. You're going to be able to apply it, with the ethic planner. Effic.co, EFFIC.co, to see what we're doing. We also have a certification on the ethic methodology. Actually, we're relaunching it officially. We reopened the doors yesterday on it, so it's open this week. And social media at daveruel.com, DAVERUEL.com. This is where I share that's my personal account, where I share my personal life, and I talk and all these things. So you can meet me there and say hi.
Cool. Well, again, yeah, thank you, Dave, for sharing, guys. Yeah, get checked out, get that for free, just for shipping and handling, donebonoonbook.com, and start diving into that, be more efficient and productive.
Thank you for listening to the Elevate Media Podcast. Don't forget to subscribe and leave a review. See you in the next episode.